Oops, I'm muted. Okay, there we go. I'm going to change the room. Happy Thursday, everyone. I am going to spend a little bit today. Oops, let me change that. Okay, I'm going to spend a little bit today answering a couple of your questions because they're coming in. And I think you get the daily stillness practice. Thank you so much to a couple of you who asked me about the worksheet for the challenge. I did post it today in the group. I thought I'd posted it earlier and I apologize for that. So the week 5 daily stillness worksheet is now posted in the group. A couple of quick questions that I will answer. Yes, one of you asked me about if a daily stillness practice, if it counts for a daily stillness practice to walk your dog, or sit with your dog. I think you said sit with your dog for 10 minutes in stillness and pet your dog. That's what it was. Sorry. And that part is important. So let me bring it back up. Tamara said, can my moments of stillness be sitting and petting the dogs for 10 minutes? Yes, emphatically yes to that, actually, because there is good research to support that a connection with an animal, a pet, helps to reset that parasympathetic nervous system. So absolutely petting your dog for 10 minutes. The only requirements in that daily stillness practice would be to not be distracting yourself with other things like checking your phone or watching TV or doing something where it sort of pulls you out of the presence in the moment. So one of the things I wanted to touch on today is that part of the effect and the impact of the daily stillness practice is that you are intentionally being present in that moment, whatever it is that you're doing, breathing, petting a dog, listening to music, meditating, writing, whatever it is. You are present, you are actively practicing, like I said yesterday, pulling that mind into the present moment and tracking as it drifts and then pulling it back. You're flexing that muscle of bringing the mind back to the present moment. So I would say, Tamara, yes, absolutely, sitting and petting your dog for 10 minutes, as long as you are present and enjoying your dog or connecting to the dog in that moment. Now, I would say, try not to, you might then go, okay, well, can I connect with another person for 10 minutes? I would prefer that you don't. I would prefer that you do something more singular or solo. Because anytime we're talking with another person or connecting with another person, there's the self and the other, and we are switching back and forth from ideally sort of active listening and paying attention and then us and back and forth. So you are not internal focused only, and that is the key here. Now, I won't get into it because, well, I won't get into it. If you're a projector in human design, sometimes it is necessary for you to do what's called soundboarding, but you know what, we'll leave that out. Let's just keep it as a blanket statement that the idea here is to connect with yourself. And so petting a pet, yes. Talking to another person, no. Not that that's not good for you, but as your daily stillness practice, do something else, choose something else. Okay, another question I wanted to answer for you. Where'd it go? Okay. So she asked, how can I get out of this destructive eating phase? I feel like I can't get a hold and get back to my good habits. Usually I am a very healthy eater, not much sugar, eat whole foods, whole grain, almond milk, fruit, vegetables, etc. But once I start eating sugar, it's the worst it's ever been in my life right now. Sounds like she started eating sugar and is having a hard time stopping. I can't get a hold of stopping that destructive behavior of eating sugar and French fries, which is not a normal for me. I feel like I might be stress eating because I feel when I eat the sugar, it's satisfying, almost like I'm hiding behind the food. Okay, there are about 4 different angles to this question that are incredibly important to consider. And many of you are loving this theme of content versus context. So I'll just point it out right now that a historical way of trying to deal with this is that we deal with content. We say, oh, well, I'm just going to cut sugar out, right? We deal with content. But the problem is it's likely the context that is creating the symptom of wanting to eat the sugar and having a hard time stopping. And if we continue to ignore the context, it's going to grow and grow and grow and build. When we address the context and we address the underlying, whether it's need or physiology or whatever, when we address the context, then the symptom will abate on its own. And that's what she really wants. She doesn't want to white knuckle her way to forcing herself to stop eating sugar. She wants to have a more peaceful relationship with it, either have it not be an issue at all, or be able to manage it with peace and ease, not to fight with it. So that's why we move away from the content and we focus on the context. So let me point out a few things here. Sugar, absolutely, there is a physiological impact of sugar, that once we start eating it, you've probably heard the phrase, sugar begets sugar. When we start eating it, sugar is a powerful and unnatural substance. The way we consume sugar is unnatural. In other words, we have manipulated the sugar cane, ground it down and ground it down and ground it down to make this fine powder. We've manipulated the sugar cane, and in that manipulation, it has an impact on our physiology, meaning it is activating our brain chemistry in an unnatural way, which urges us, pushes us, triggers us to eat more of it, okay? And I'm describing it to you in a very scientific way because I want us to understand that some of what's going on here is likely outside of conscious or unconscious control. It's a biochemical, physiological reaction to eating sugar. Sugar begets sugar. And, she also said the French fries, well, same type of thing. The French fries are an unnatural pairing of different food additives. So we've got the salt, sugar, fat content in the carbohydrates, in the French fries. The sugar in this case being the carbohydrate, so salt, sugar, fat. So French fries are fried, right? That fat content usually have salt on it. Try eating French fries with no salt. It'll help you. You won't eat as many. Salt, sugar, fat together in that combination is also messing with the physiology. So there is this brain chemistry piece that if we can take a step back and become aware that when I start eating these things, it starts to take my brain chemistry on a path that makes it more difficult for me to mindfully stop eating these things. That is very true. There is a physiological response to these types of foods, and it has an impact on us as humans that makes it harder to stop eating it. This is my whole difficulty with the intuitive eating movement, right? There's this big intuitive eating movement. We just need to eat intuitively. Well, when your brain chemistry is impacted literally by the food that you eat, and what you think is intuitive, oh, I just want another bite of this, or I just want another few of these. We are taught that we should consciously be intuitive about what we're eating. That's not intuition at all. That is your brain chemistry and your physiology reacting to the makeup of the food that you're eating. And so what we experience as intuition is truly a physiological and biochemical response. So I am a proponent of what I call intentional eating versus intuitive eating, because once you get it into the sugar and once you get into the French fries, isn't it harder to stop eating the French fries than it is to stop eating the apples or the, broccoli, carrots, whatever? Anything that we have trouble stopping usually comes from the impact of the ingredients of the food together, right? So usually people don't have trouble stopping eating, broccoli, or stopping eating chicken breasts, or stopping eating, even oranges. If you were to eat oranges whole, you can only eat so many before your body will reject them because of the way that they are naturally made in the environment fiber. They have fiber, and the way that the orange is constructed in nature will stop you from eating too much of it. And it sends the right signals chemically throughout the body that says, I've had enough of this. What can you have? What can you overconsume with oranges? Well, orange juice, because we've stripped it of all its natural nutrients and vitamins and fiber and all that kind of stuff. So then you can drink a ton of orange juice. But if you were to eat it naturally, you can only have a certain amount before your body will reject it. Okay, I'm going off on this tangent. So biochemical and physiological response of the actual food you're eating, that is part of this. Okay, so being mindful of, if I have the urge to have some content, meaning some food, can I be mindful that it would serve me better to choose a different food than these hyper palatable or highly processed foods? Because once I start eating, she says, it's not like her to eat this way. She said, I am a very healthy eater, not much sugar, whole foods, whole grain, almond milk, fruits, and vegetables. Awesome. So she eats mostly nutrient-dense whole foods. My next question is, contextually, how do you feel about being a nutrient-dense eater? Does that feel aligned? Do you feel empowered? Does it make you feel empowered, strong, confident in your food choices? Or are you feeling restricted and deprived by eating that way? I would want to know that question, because if there is a white knuckling of, okay, I need to eat fruits and vegetables and almond milk and whole grains and and there's a energy of restriction and deprivation, that context is going to create sort of an alternative impact, which is the need for resistance and to go against that, because the energy of it is negativity. And so there's going to be negativity that goes into those decisions, which will drive her then to eat in the opposite way. So first ask if there is resistance to the way you're normally eating throughout the week. So when I have people who are white knuckling it throughout the week and then binge on the weekends, and they say, I really got to get a hold of my binges, I say, no, you really got to figure out how to eat in a way that feels aligned during the week. And then the symptom of the desire to binge on the weekend will dissipate when you're eating in alignment during the week. We don't focus on the symptom, we focus on the cause. So that's my first question is there a restriction and deprivation? I didn't get that sense. I got the sense that she likes to be a healthy eater and feels very empowered by the nutrient-dense whole food she's eating during the week. So great, just wanted to check that. The next layer to this is, she says, I feel like I might be stress eating. Good clue, right? If you feel like you might be stress eating, dig in, you probably are. I feel like I might be stress eating because I feel when I eat the sugar, it's satisfying. A couple things here. Sugar is satisfying. It turns down the threat response system in your brain. So if you've got the threat response system activated, which is your first clue that your body is experiencing a trigger. If that threat response system is activated, the brain is going to go out searching for the things to turn down the threat response system, and it looks for salt, sugar, fat. It looks for processed hyperpalatable foods. And so then when you eat the food in response to the brain's desire to turn down the threat response system, it's going to feel better. It's going to be satisfying. It's going to momentarily, it's going to turn down that threat response system, and you're going to go, okay. So if that's happening, if you feel like you're searching for the sugar or searching for the French fries in an effort to quell something or make you feel better, that's an indicator that you've got some context being activated, some stress response, something, and we have to kind of dive into what that something is that will be searching for the food to turn it off, okay? So I explained that to say, she goes on and her last sentence says, it's almost like I'm hiding behind the food. Okay, we want to dig into the hiding behind the food and stress eating. And here's the question I want her to ask. You can all ask this. What need is the food filling for me right now? What need do I need to get met? What need is being met by the food? Are you bored? Are you anxious? Are you frustrated? Are you sad? Are you depressed? Are you happy? Do you want connection? Do you want safety? Do you want freedom? Do you want whatever? I don't know what it is. You want to ask yourself, what need am I filling with the food right now? This happened to me last night. I was thinking about you all this morning, and this happened to me last night. I found myself at home in my house all by myself, which quite literally rarely ever happens anymore. My husband's career transitions to work from home. I obviously work from home, and my daughter's in school, and so obviously while she's in school, there's time at home. But now my husband is home as well, so we're both in the house all the time. And she had soccer practice last night, and somebody came to pick her up for soccer practice. Then they left, and my husband wasn't home, and I found myself in the house in a rare moment alone. And what did I want to do? I wanted to eat. And I found myself in front of the fridge looking for something. And I went, what are you doing in here? What is going on in here? And I closed the fridge and I did exactly what I'm asking you to do. And I said, what is it that you need right now? And I couldn't exactly put words to this. I'm telling you the story because you don't have to have the words to go, oh, well, my need is this, and here's what I'm looking for, and here's how I'm trying to fill it. If it comes to you, fantastic, you have clarity. But for me, there wasn't immediate and overt clarity. There was just this underlying energy of, oh, you don't know what to do to fill your time right now because you're so used to, making sure that everybody's taken care of, or, whatever you do at this time of the day, you're so used to those things. And now you have dead space and you don't know how to fill your time right now. And so you're searching for food in the refrigerator. And I went, okay, I don't need to do that. And I went and did something else. But the point I'm trying to make here is that food for many people often is a habitual response to uncomfortable emotions. And what we try and do is that we try and control the content. Don't do that. Don't eat this. Only eat that. Only have this much. Only have this many calories. Only have these macronutrients. We ignore the context. And last night, had I ignored the context and just say, well, you can't have that, and you can't have this, and you can't have that, that emotion of interesting, I don't really know what to do right now remains. Now I have pushed it down with the food, but it's going to pop back up again, right? And so I chose to do something else instead. I chose to do, and here was the other piece, was that I have this desire that in my empty spaces, in my in-between spaces, that I use that time meaningfully, right? That I'm not wasting that time. I have this desire to use that time meaningfully. And for me, that means researching something, listening to a book. My personality is very geared towards knowledge and growth and expansion. I'm always reading, I'm always researching, I'm always just part of my personality, right? So that is how I like to fill my empty spaces, is by learning things to share with you. That's what I do with my life. I learn things to share with you all. I study and I research. And so in that moment when I realized I had empty space and didn't know what to do with it, because it was at the end of my workday, the gas is kind of out of my tank. And so I'm not ready for a super scientific bio-heavy book, right? But something, I also don't want it to be dead space. I also don't want to scroll on, Instagram and waste my time, right? So the point is, I found something to do that felt peaceful and fulfilling, but I only was able to do that when I asked myself what I needed. What do you need? What's going on right now? Oh, I'm feeling a little, I don't know what to do with my time. Interesting. What would make you, going back to week 2, I think it is, how do you want to feel at the end of this? I had about an hour and a half. How do you want to feel at the end of this 90 minutes? I want to feel peaceful. I want to feel settled. I want to feel joy. Well, is eating all these things in the fridge going to get you there? Nope. Okay, well, what is going to get you there? Here's these 4 things that I could be doing right now. And I chose one of them. The only way I got to that knowledge is to be able to slow down and ask myself what I needed in the moment. So that's my big piece of advice today for her, is can you, at any point in time when you're about to reach for the food, can you ask yourself what it is that you need? And even if you can't put words to it, can you connect to the feeling of what it is that you need? This feeling of twitchiness, or this feeling of uncertainty or unsettled, or whatever it is. Can you connect to the feeling of it? And then ask yourself what it is that you need. Keep going with that line of questioning in week 2 of, how would I like to feel right now? If I felt good, Or if I felt better, what would that be like? And what are the types of things that I could do to get me to how I would feel, right? Probably the eating sugar and the French fries won't show up. But also going back to the sugar detox week, perhaps, because again, the mind is asking her for that threat response system release. So it's saying, have the sugar, it'll make you feel better. Perhaps you decide to have a piece of sugar if that will make you feel better, but you stay connected to the process and you say, oh, I had this piece of this one thing. Did it feel good? Did it feel satisfying? Do I need more? Have I had enough? That type of thing, right? Okay, so you stay connected to your line of questioning, you're intentional with it. Let me just check the live here to make sure you guys do not have any questions. Oops, where'd it go? I think we are good. Any questions about that? Any questions about that process that we just went through, staying connected, asking yourself what you need right now, what need are you trying to get met, the physiology of what's happening when you eat salt, sugar, fat, any of that stuff. I know I threw a lot of concepts at you in there. So if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, doesn't look like it. Okay. I will see you all on Friday.